Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time you're tuning into this video, just make sure that it is good. And welcome back to another deck tech. And about time I finally got on board with showcasing the new Ezreal. In case you didn't know, Ezreal has recently been reworked. He used to say you've targeted enemies 10 plus times. Well, he used to say you've targeted enemies 8 plus times, right? And then they nerfed him to 10, and then he couldn't be played anymore because that's too hard. It's too hard to target things 10 times and then level up Ezreal. And then when he leveled up, he used to say, whenever you cast a spell, deal 2 to the enemy nexus, right? Now he says, deal 1 to the enemy nexus unless it targeted a unit, and then you can deal 2. So, in short, he is much easier to level up than he ever has been before, but leveling him up doesn't net you as much of a reward as it did in the past. Combining him with Karma especially is not nearly as potent as it was. Karma, essentially when you have Ezreal and Karma, his damage has been cut in half. And that's a pretty big deal. So now that that deck is much weaker, Ezreal has found his home with good old Swain. These two guys synergize exceedingly well. Now that Ezreal is so easy to level up. Leveled up Ezreal, now that he's so easy to get, alongside a leveled up Swain is just insane value, insane synergy. You start stunning everything, you deal a bunch of damage to the enemy nexus, Swain manages to connect onto your opponent's nexus, and then it's kind of all over from there, right? So this is nothing new. Swain plus Ezreal has been kicking around ever since Ezreal got reworked, and I thought I would showcase this deck, but this is not just any old version of that deck. No, this is the best one I have come across so far, my favorite, and that is because it includes this guy, 3 copies of Subpurrsible. If you don't know, if you've never seen this card before, I don't blame you. It's not run very often, but this is a 5-mana 1/5 with elusive that draws a card when it's summoned, right? When I'm summoned, draw 1. Then, if you've played at least 10 other cards with different names, grant me +4/+0. So this is a 5-mana 5/5 with elusive that draws you a card if you have played 10 cards with different names before playing this, right? And so the rest of our deck looks a little bit different than you might expect a normal Swain as deck to look, right? We have a lot of one-ofs. We have 1 2 on Chump Wump, and this is so that it is a little easier to get Subpurrsible going and unlocked. We're running 3 Thermal Beams. This card is so important. The reason we're running 3 of these is because, well, obviously it's just good removal, right? It's super flexible. This is the most important card in our deck in the mirror match. And that's because when going up against another Swain with another set of Leviathans, a Leviathan on turn 8, about the only way to answer that is with your own Thermal Beam, right? The only other way we could do it is like Scorched Earth plus a Static Shock, you know, that sort of thing. So in the mirror match, Swain versus Swain, Ezreal versus Ezreal, it's kind of whoever can get their Leviathan Swain out on the board together first wins. So you need to have Thermal Beam in your hand to answer your opponent's Leviathan. That's basically how you win that match. That being said, Subpurrsible is a nice alternate win condition that most Swain decks won't run. So we by playing this deck, we have a sort of secondary win condition that we can play for, which is really nice. We have triple Ravenous Flock because it's a Swain deck, and Ravenous Flock is insane, and it just belongs in this deck, right? 1 Rummage for the mushrooms on Chump Wump, Zonite Urchin, and Sump Dredger. A similar idea here. We're gonna play them to toss away a mushroom if possible. But you can also play Zonite Urchin to toss away a Leviathan that you don't want in against a Jinx deck, right? Which is nice. 3 copies of House Spider. This is absolutely necessary because House Spider provides us 2 blockers, right? The weakness of a deck like this that is so based around spells is obviously you don't have very many units, and thus you cannot block the units that you can't shoot. House Spiders really shores up on this weakness, gives us 2 blockers, allows us to really stall, get some chip damage in, and set up our Ravenous Flocks, all that good stuff. House Spider is fantastic in this deck. Triple Mystic Shot, obviously. 1 Arachnoid Sentry to set up our Ravenous Flocks, and maybe stall out a little bit, you know, stop a big thing from hitting us. 1 Culling Strike, 1 Death's Hand, 1 Scorched Earth, 1 Stump Dredger, triple Static Shock. And this is really important as well. This is one of the best cards to run with Ezreal because it levels him up so fast and also draws you a card. It's really not hard to get value out of this card. There's a lot of decks running around with 1 health units. It's easy to set up 1 health units with your house spiders. And then this card also draws you a card. So this card, it belongs in Ezreal decks because it's one of the best ways to level up Ezreal, right? This will progress Ezreal by 1/3 of his total level requirement. And so, and it also draws you a card, helps you not run out of steam. It's just a great card in these decks. And then we are running obviously 3 Leviathans to go with 3 Swains because Leviathan plus Swain equals profit. That's just how we win the game, is with a Leviathan and a Swain. And a 1-off of Captain Farron. This is kind of like a 4th Leviathan in our deck, but it also provides so much pressure on our opponent. If it's more of a control matchup and we're playing a slow game against another deck that wants to, you know, really grind out and like stall us out, slapping down Captain Farron can oftentimes just put so much pressure on the opponent that they crumble. So that's the deck list right there. This was not built by me. I did not put this together. I did not get the brilliant idea to put the cat in this deck. All credit goes to BBG, as far as I'm aware. He put this together. He stomped me with it in my last video. If you guys saw that, he smacked me down hard with these kitties, and I felt very inspired to go ahead and give this deck a shot. So without further ado, let's get into some games. I don't think I've changed anything. And let's see who we can run into. All right, oof. We go up against someone who's pretty highly ranked, and we go up against a Starspring deck. Now, obviously, we don't want the gotchas in our opening hand, so we're gonna send that back. We don't want Subpurrsible in our opening hand. We kind of do. I like Swain. Swain is good because he's fearsome, and this deck has a really hard time blocking fearsomes. So actually, I think I will keep him. Obviously, they run Pale Cascade, right? That second Swain is not what we want. This might be a rough match. We do have 1 copy of Scorched Earth, which is nice. Might help us get rid of our opponent's Starspring 1 time, but we only have 1 copy of it, so well, maybe I should have. Maybe I should have flocked that thing. I'll play the spider. Obviously, my opponent isn't going to attack here. Yeah, I may have should have used this flock on turn 1 on the enemy Crusty Codger to prevent the Fortune Croaker. That may have been a mistake. I'm actually going to attack here. See what our opponent does.
This is outrage!
My opponent blocks there. Ooh, sets up a nice Static Shock. Yeah, he knows. He doesn't want to get hit by Static Shock. There's the Soraka. All right. We're going to take out the Croaker with the Mystic Shot. And probably we should do something similar here. Yeah, we'll kill that one too. We don't want Soraka to start healing. If he wants to self-damage a unit, we will gladly take the Ravenous Flock on that. But keeping Soraka unleveled... Wow, he's got another one. No! Keeping Soraka unleveled here is pretty important. Wow, we just leveled up Swain. We actually just leveled up Swain on turn 4. We're gonna play him now, and our opponent is gonna be in a bit of a pickle. Thank you, Swain.
Fear the power you do not see.
So, my opponent's in a pickle here. He actually needs to have a Pale Cascade in his hand, or else this Swain is gonna smack our opponent really hard. I'm not sure what my opponent is thinking about so hard. Probably the fact that if he plays a unit and Swain connects, That's really bad for him. But yeah, we're gonna full attack. Swain in the front. Our opponent has to have a Pale Cascade, and they don't. Oof. Oof. We might be able to kill Soraka with the flock here. We'll see.
I will break.
Our opponent is at 8, I guess. So the Ravenous Flock here obviously won't work against a... what's it called? Astral Protection. And also, you know, our opponent could have Guiding Touches and stuff. We'll see what he plays first before we go for anything else. Another Boxtopus. So we're gonna go for the Static Shock. If he has healing, he's gonna want to use it on the Boxtopus now. If he doesn't have healing, then we're just set to kill Soraka and basically shut him out of this game. Okay, so he Guiding Touches the Boxtopus. Again, he has enough mana for Astral Protection, so I don't really want to play into that. It's probably better to just flock the Boxtopus here. We know he doesn't have a Star Spring. We know he doesn't have a... well, he might have a Tom Kench in his hand, but he probably doesn't have Star Spring. He probably doesn't have a Pale Cascade, which means the odds of him having Astral Protection are higher, right? Since we know he doesn't have those other cards in his hand. He's probably thinking about using it now. He's probably thinking about using Astral Protection on this Boxtopus. And honestly, that'd be a pretty good play. Oh, okay. He doesn't. He has Sunblessed Vigor, which does save it. Wow. Oh, okay, it wouldn't have saved it. That's funny. Alright, and now Ezreal's leveled up as well. We're looking pretty good. The problem for my opponent now is that he can't attack. If he attacks and he heals both of his units, I still trade into the Boxtopus with Swain, and then I attack him next turn and he won't be able to block Swain.
Stars live.
Looks like he's doing it anyway.
Know your place.
Yep. We'll drop Ezreal as well.
They don't know what they're up against.
And this is pretty much GG with this Chump Lump in my hand. We have pretty well, yeah, shut down our opponent. Look at that. Not a chance from that Star Spring deck. And that's what I'm talking about. This is... that kind of game is the reason that this deck is so strong and such a prevailing force in the meta right now. It has such an ability to lock down games. Now, it doesn't have... this deck that I'm playing does not have favorable matches into every deck in the game right now. It does pretty well against most things. It does very well against any sort of go hard Twisted Fate deck. It does pretty well against... it does alright against Ashe Noxus, but that one is a bit harder because the units are so thick. It does pretty well against like any sort of dragon strategy. Anything that really wants to take you to the late game. Ooh. Was that gold? Okay. I got excited there. I thought it was a Riot employee. But yeah, it does really well against any strategy that wants to take you to the late game because of the Leviathan Swain lockdown. We're going up against Draven Jinx. I'm not sure we keep Flock against this deck. The units don't generally take damage and survive. Some of them do, but I like this better. Hey. This deck struggles against Fiora Shen. Fiora Shen kind of out-tempos us and can deal with our removal in efficient ways. They also have a card called Concerted Strike, which just absolutely takes down our Leviathans extremely efficiently. And combined with the fact that they have an answer to pretty much every kind of removal we have in our deck, kind of makes it so that that deck counters us pretty well. Now, my opponent on a Draven Jinx deck is not spending his mana. We're not gonna do it first. I'm not gonna throw down this Ezreal until my opponent plays something here. Throws down a Draven. Now, Culling Strike is a bit rough in this matchup. You'd think it'd be good
The world's a
because it
big
can take down
place.
Draven, but
Let's see all.
Spinning Axe counters Culling Strike, right? So we're gonna slap down this Ezreal. We're gonna see if our opponent does anything. We'll probably use his Mystic Shot.
I don't miss.
See, like, we could just Thermal Beam this Draven, but it's actually better to Mystic Shot and then Thermal Beam, since the Mystic Shot goes away anyway. We don't need to do that though. We could also use this Death's Hand and save the Thermal Beam for something more important, like a Jinx, which I think I like. Oh, or another Mystic Shot. That works as well. This deck has a great matchup against little discard shenanigans. Well, not great. It has a pretty good matchup against discard shenanigans. If they manage to go super wide, super fast, we can struggle. Because this deck does have a problem handling
Now we're cooking.
super spread out board states. And that card's an issue.
I gotta work with this joker.
That card is certainly an issue. We're probably just gonna Thermal Beam that. Yeah, we'll just get that guy out of here. Our opponent could still, like, have a discard outlet into a vision, which is a bit spooky. Yeah, so he's gonna clean up our Ezreal here. That's okay.
Let's do this.
Yeah, and we're taking a bunch of damage here. One thing this deck does not have, obviously, is access to any sort of healing. We cannot heal. We cannot heal. So as much as I'd like to play Swain here, don't think that's the play. We probably play Sump Dredger, and we toss Subpurrsible. I think that's what's going on. Subpurrsible in this matchup is not the most helpful thing in the world. It's just a 5 mana, 5 health, which is okay, but nothing to write home about. Now he has a Spinning Axe in his hand, so I don't want to attack with my Dredger here. I probably should have shot this since he's on 4, but just in case he had a crowd favorite. But I think this is fine. Worked out. All right, so this Ravenous Flock is going to go on Draven, and we will shoot probably this. That looks good. Yep. Sorry, bud. Oh, rummage. All right. Okay, double rummage. Wow. That's pretty unfortunate. This deck generally wants to... Well, it's fortunate for us. This deck generally wants to save those rummages for when they have Jinx on the board, so that they can have that, the Jinx level up strategy.
Face.
We could pass here. I think I'm going to pass. I'm going to see what he plays. If he plays a small unit, like not a Jinx or not a... Oh, he doesn't play anything. Wow. He calls my bluff there. That's incredible. Well, I guess I should have played Swain last turn. Actually, this is fine. We're gonna drop Swain.
Above all.
I probably should have dropped him last turn. Yeah, I should have dropped him last turn since I have this Death's Hand in my hand.
What others
Death's Hand and Arachnoid Sentry in the same turn would probably shut our opponent down. He doesn't block.
perish.
He's gotta have something, right? He's gotta have some way of saving these units, like blocking my Swain, right? Right? No? Wow.
I will break them.
All right. I can't complain, right? This is looking excellent. And he doesn't play his hand. I'm starting to get the feeling we got our opponent got pretty unfortunate with his hand.
Oh, it is a great
Yeah, pretty unlucky. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Drop that last one for me, would you? Thank you, sir. We're gonna take those guys out. Ezreal is ready to go. I guess we're really doing this.
You lack discipline.
I mean, yeah, there's no reason not to do this. Having Swain at 5 health is probably fine. I don't feel like there's much that can punish me for that. We are gonna do this, though. Just a cycle, get that card draw in here. We'll pass and see what this last card is. We don't get to know. So 4 plus 4 plus 3 is pretty sure that's exactly 11, yeah. Alright, so our opponent shoots our Subpurrsible.
Such little lies.
Wow. And just like that, my opponent is back in the game. We are gonna gotcha that.
Immerse yourself in the unknown.
This Leviathan ought to win the game for us here. There's nothing he can do to kill this Leviathan this turn, so he's gonna take 3, and then this Death's Hands should kill him next turn. So that should be GG.
I will break them.
That should be GG. I'll give him the well played. Clearly he had a terrible hand, right? Feels pretty bad. Feels pretty bad. We won't be him. We won't show him the Ezreal. We'll just kill him. we won't show him that we have Ezreal. We were not gonna play that animation. We'll just kill him. Doesn't work that way, bud. That does not save you.
Their time has come.
And there you go.
My conflicts end
Now-
only one way.
Our opponent did get pretty unlucky there, and that can be a matchup that is pretty difficult for this deck to win. If they, like I said, if they go super wide, super fast, like the best thing we can do to kill 2 units at once is Static Shock, and Static Shock costs 4 mana. That's super inefficient, right? So that is one matchup that can get gunned down, that can just gun us down super fast, but as you can see, it's not set in stone. We can definitely, that is definitely a winnable matchup. All right, so next up we have, wow, I have not seen this idea in a while. Thresh Aurelian Soul. We're never gonna let Thresh level up. That's the goal here. Thresh is never leveling. I actually kind of like this whole hand. I'm just gonna keep this whole hand. Well, the second Ezreal is a little unnecessary. It would be better if we were attacking on odds. But this is fine. We're gonna get some chip damage in there. We'll pass here. See if our opponent wants to do anything else. Oh, he doesn't want to do anything at all. All right, I'm gonna slap down the Ezreal now.
Don't blink or you'll miss me.
Our opponent could have Grasp of the Undying here to deal with Ezreal, which would be slightly unfortunate. Anything else, I'm pretty fine with. Like, if he wants to Vengeance my Ezreal, like, he can go for it, you know?
One shot, all skill.
We don't need to attack with anything else. If my opponent has a grasp, he needs to play it now.
Can't stop me.
He doesn't. He doesn't. Alright, so this butcher is toast. That's fine. Absolutely, sir.
Firing.
Ah, Black Spear. Black Spear, Black Spear.
No way.
No worries. We can't really do anything about that. That's fine. I don't think we're gonna Mystic Shot this Spiderling. I think we're gonna block this,
There's nowhere to hide.
Oh, I don't get to choose what I block anymore.
Fear the power.
I'm gonna play Swain. If the Thresh kills the spider, he dies to Ravenous Flock. Okay. He's grabbing Swain. That's probably smart. Alright, we're gonna flock Thresh here. We maybe also flock
After
the
the
4-1 here so that we can get an attack with Swain, but since Swain's not leveled up, I don't think that's necessary. We have a second Swain in our hand. I think we can take it a little slower than that. We're gonna play Ezreal again.
I thought you'd never ask.
Subpurrsible is gonna be a long time from getting his buff
Sounds
because we're just
dangerous.
drawing the same
I'm in.
copies of cards we've already played. Not ideal, but they're good cards. Again, Grasp is the only thing that stops him from hitting our opponent's Nexus. Oh, hush. Hush, hush, hush. No.
Charge.
Our opponent could still have a Black Spear. Looks like he doesn't. Wow, Mystic Shot? Wow, number 3. I mean, Mystic Shot's a great card, but I would prefer we draw things that progress our Subpurrsible. Our opponent is just ending round, which is curious. Or just passing, I mean. We are going to take that pass and we're going to threaten to hit with both of our champions
Leave
here.
them nothing. Such little life.
Works for me. We got a fleeting Mystic Shot. Now, he didn't have a Black Spear two rounds ago, which doesn't mean he doesn't have one now. I still want to use this fleeting Mystic Shot just because it progresses both champions.
Empire above all.
This does open us up to... I almost had a heart attack. I just realized it opened us up to a Rasa. I would have been so sad if my opponent just Rasa'd me there. Yeah, we might have to play these Subpurrsibles unleveled, or at least one of them, just to get the card draw. I'm gonna Ravenous Block now to level up Ezreal and stop.
After the battle, the radiance feast.
I'm so good, I surprised myself.
All right, we played that so that we leveled up Ezreal, but also so that we don't have our opponent hasn't had a unit that died this round active this turn, right? And we lock him down. Easy game. Both of our champions are leveled up and on the board.
Easy.
Like my name. Yeah, Ezreal's right. As soon as you get both the champions on there and leveled, the game is pretty easy from there. Our opponent didn't want to deal with it. He taps out. And that's it. That's how you play the game. That's how you play the deck. All right. Round 4, we go up against Swordbreaker. Vi and Teemo with Targon. Not gonna lie, I have no idea what's going on here. We're gonna keep the flock. We're gonna get rid of the Rummage and the Subpurrsible. And now we have sort of a 2-card hand. Not what we wanted. Definitely not what we wanted, but hopefully we'll draw into some better cards here. And don't get me wrong, Ravenous Flock is a good card.
Nothing like the great outdoors.
Well, luckily our opponent is not attacking first, so we still get the chance to shoot this Teemo.
Swiftly.
And we will take that opportunity. This is a pretty poor hand.
Ooh.
Static Shock helps. We're gonna pass, see what our opponent wants to do. Our opponent wants to drop a Spacey Sketcher. We're gonna bank our mana. We're not gonna play the Static Shock on one unit.
Spark.
We're gonna float this mana, see if our opponent wants to do anything else. We each burn 1 mana, so we're super even right now. And we see a Trickster. So this is a great time to Static Shock.
My paint.
And now that we see that third
Reporting in.
Ravenous Flock here, we will use that on the Trickster. Yeah. And we'll Mystic Shot the Teemo again. I'm not sure exactly what my opponent's goal here is. I mean, he's running... Looks like he's running 3 copies of Teemo. I wonder if he's also running the Puffcap Peddler. Oh.
They'll never know what hit them.
Oh.
Adventure starts with mushrooms.
Fascinating. 4/4. I can't shoot a 4/4. Did he play that? Did he play that for 2 mana? I think he probably did. That's cool. All right. So that's interesting. I don't want to pass here. If I pass, my opponent can end round and just hit me with Teemo again, and I won't be able to stop it. So I think we could play Subpurrsible here as an elusive to block Teemo, and then set up the Ravenous Flock. That's certainly something we could do, but I think I'd rather just play Swain.
Vision to see what others cannot.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
Witness strength.
I'll attack here. Alright, he blocks with the Chump Wump. That's fine. Ooh, Pale Cascade. That didn't occur to me. Pale Cascade did not occur to me. I'm starting to get afraid. I'm afraid of this Teemo and his mushrooms. I think we have to like Mystic Shot this and then double Flock next turn. I think that's the play. Yeah, that attack with Swain was probably a mistake. I forgot about Pale Cascade.
Oh, that's a harvest right
Alright, looks like he's going for the level up on Teemo. We will obviously kill him. I'm not... I think we'll kill both. No reason to take 4 damage if we can avoid it. Oh no! Yikes. Oh, that's terrifying. Guiding Touch. Wow. Wow, maybe I should have thermo beamed this like a couple turns ago instead of playing Swain. That feels bad, but maybe that was what I should have done the whole time. Because I can't... If I had a Static Shock... God, if I had a Static Shock right now, or a Mystic Shot, or anything. Death's Hand. Okay, looks like this is a bit of a beatdown strategy. With mushrooms. Yikes, that's a huge hit.
All this
And it puts a ton of mushrooms in my deck too. Yeah. I don't really want to play her either. I'm just gonna get more mushrooms. Wow. I have to though. I have to play her.
Anything else?
A rummage. Well, our opponent kind of has us here.
Think I'm still like a yodel in uniform?
Like, I don't really want to play Subpurrsible because it's gonna draw me more cards, and I'm gonna die to mushrooms. I guess I just thermal beam this Teemo? I think I have to. I'm worried about another Teemo though. Yeah, I kind of have to. Wow, this is incredible. I go on an absolute killing spree. I've been going on a win streak with this deck. We're taking down all the best decks in the meta, and then we're just getting wrecked by Teemo here.
Just trying to help.
Our opponent did get pretty lucky, and I played this match poorly. Like, I definitely forgot about Pale Cascade and played into other things. And that's on me, right? It's not the deck's fault. Did he just... We're gonna pretend that didn't happen, alright? It's alright. So we get wrecked by a Teemo deck. It happens. I suppose it happens. Wow. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. That was incredible. More power to that guy. I'm happy for him. Alright. Leona Lux with Targon. I like this hand. Obviously we have no spells in this hand, but our opponent, this isn't exactly a deck where our opponent wants to throw out a bunch of units in the early game, like maybe a couple. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Ours is the one true light.
Alright. I guess they're still running the Daybreak package, right? Solari Soldier into the Solari Shield Bearer into the whatever the third one's called. Solari Priestess, yada yada yada. Sure. I think we do... Actually, no. We don't worry about trading there.
Unyielding
There's the
light.
Shield Bearer. We could just stun her. That's not a bad play, honestly. I don't want to deal with that 6 health. Let's just stall her out. Ooh, I like Ezreal here. The problem with Ezreal is, what's it called? Single combat exists. And if I play Ezreal here, he could just go down to the 3-2. I'd like to play him though. I'm actually just gonna pass. My opponent has full mana, and I am gonna bank some. So if he wants to burn his mana, we'll just accept that. All right. So as much as I'd love to play Ezreal here and get the free Mystic Shot and kills his 3-2, I do respect the existence of single combat. So I'm just gonna play. I'm gonna play Chump Wump.
The dawn has arrived.
Well,
Carry her light across the map.
Leona
Shine
leveled
like
up on
the
curve.
sun, you must burn
Pretty cool,
like
pretty cool. I'm gonna stun our Chump Wump.
the sun's splendor revealed.
We could take her out with a Thermal Beam. That is certainly something we could do here. I actually kind of don't mind that. It's clunky, it uses up all our mana, and our opponent still has 4 more. Oh, but that would lose to Pale Cascade. We shouldn't do that. Pale Cascade would be pretty rough. I think I'm just gonna drop Swain here.
The few for the many.
Get him on the board,
Stand and fight.
Burn away doubts.
and we'll do our best to put Leona in range of Ravenous Flock. In fact, that would be better. I don't want to take damage on Swain. In fact, I don't really even need to block that. We'll go like this. I'm blocking Leona with the 3-2 so that even if he does have a Pale Cascade, Ravenous Flock is still lethal on Leona. And I used it preemptively, which is weird. I guess he just wanted the card draw. We'll go for it. Guiding Touch. Interesting. Now see, that's interesting because the Pale Cascade means that this still hits.
Thank you for the freedom.
If he hadn't have played Pale Cascade there, this that Ravenous Flock would have poofed after the Guiding Touch. Sort of. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. That's not how that works.
Don't blink or you'll miss me.
All right. So now he could still have, yeah, he probably still has a single combat, but a second ago we could have interrupted it with a Mystic Shot, right? Now we just have to hope.
Stop bragging if you could back it up.
We just have to hope he doesn't have a single combat here. Ooh, or that. Don't like that. Forget about Hush. I always forget about Hush. I forget to keep it in mind. That's on me. I love that gotcha there. Leona should go down. I imagine he'll play a Daybreak unit first, though. Or not. Or not. Do we see a Ravoon? Do we see an Eclipse Dragon? Probably not, right? Why play Eclipse Dragon if you don't play Aurelion Soul?
We can
Oh,
do this.
just a Lux. Just a little old Lux. Interesting. I'm gonna play the Urchin first.
Anything helps.
Okay. Another Swain is nice. We will gotcha the Leona now.
Sun sets.
And then we're gonna play another Ezreal, I think. Are we? Yeah.
I thought you'd never
We need to spend our
ask.
mana on something, and he didn't single combat earlier. Again, he could still have Hush, right? I kind of want to just toss a mushroom in my opponent's deck and then pass and see what he does.
Oh, that's a harvest right there.
Remembrance. Crap. Crap. Well, there goes Ezreal. Alright.
I've been
Lux levels
hiding
up.
my light too long.
Which means Ezreal needs to attack, like, right now
Sounds dangerous. I'm in.
to get in under that final spark. He probably has, like... Oh, okay, yeah. Single combat. That's fine. Goodbye, Ezreal number 2.
No way.
I imagine he'll target either Swain or the Chumpwump with that final spark. He chooses Swain.
By the light.
So I should probably respect it. I should probably respect it, and I should probably just Thermal Beam this right now. So we will. We'll respect Pale Cascade.
Such little life.
We'll level up Swain.
Going to the light.
We have another Swain in the back here, which is really nice. Ooh. Culling Strike here could be alright.
Daylight everlasting.
Solari control all that her warmth touches.
We're gonna play Subpurrsible. And that is a 5-mana 5/5 with Elusive. I'll just sacrifice the spider to that. No biggie. We'll pass. Our opponent still is floating 4 mana that will burn here if he does nothing. That's fine. I'm gonna attack with this Subpurrsible right now because my opponent could have like another Leona to get in the way here to like stun it. So I think we're just gonna attack. Very nice. Okay, I guess we enabled the star shaping. That's fine. Yikes. I guess you do. You do play Eclipse Dragon even if you don't have Aurelion Soul in your deck. Oh, no you don't. This was created by Ravoon. Oh, man. Pretty rough. We might have to Thermo Beam that. I think we do. Now, Swain is leveled up, which usually means we should be in a really dominating position, but we don't have anything that synergizes with him. We don't have any Ezreal, and we don't have any Leviathans. The Ezreal obviously is my fault. I probably should have waited and kept the second Ezreal in my hand until he was leveled up and I could play him with Swain. I still don't want to play that right now. Leviathan, there it is. Woo! Alright. So maybe we're fine. I'm gonna start with that. I'm gonna start with this Ravenous Flock. Because if I play this Leviathan, it gives my opponent a lot of mana to work with in countering me. And I don't want to do that. So we're gonna wait a minute. Our opponent plays another Ravoon.
Destination in sight. Bring these lands to their knees.
He probably still has some way of like killing Swain here, but hopefully he doesn't. Oh, so Concerted Strike straight onto the Leviathan. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. Yeah, nothing we can do about it.
We're going under.
Yeah, it looks like our opponent is just gonna run us out of steam here. Which is the way you want to play against this deck, by the way. This deck, its one weakness is that it can run out of steam if you have a way to deal with its Leviathans, right? If you can deal with the Leviathans, this deck will eventually just crumble and die because all it has is removal left over. About it. Oh, and now we find a Captain Farron. But yeah, that's GG. Give him the well played, get on out of there. So yeah, that's the deck. It does really well against most things in the meta. Concerted Strike is the best way, the most efficient way anyway, to take down the Leviathan. And it's really hard for this deck to stop that. So yeah, if you're struggling against decks like these, play some Demacia. You'll either Fiora Shen or apparently something like Leona Lux. Probably Leona A-Soul with Concerted Strikes works just as well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed those games. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you feel inspired to play this deck or build another cute cat deck, the Subpurrsible deck. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. I stream on Twitch every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. That is Pacific Standard Time. Come hang out. We have a nice time, and I'll see you guys in the next one.